num, num num, birdie num num.
And when I have understanding of computers, I shall be the supreme being. God isn't interested in technology. He knows nothing of the potential of the microchip or the silicon revolution. Look how he spends his time. 43 species of parrots. Nipples for men.
Don't do that, Jesus Christ! You're gonna get me killed! Out of here!
Oh, Billy. Welcome, everybody, to AB Live. Birdie Num Num. And yes, men still have nipples and warm leatherettes. My usual AB Live introduction. Again, welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody here. I see you're already pouring into the chat room. And tonight will definitely be a very special show, very exciting show, too. Again, as always, if you have any questions, and I should repeat it, or Van should repeat it too. If you have questions, please write a lot of question marks or write in all caps, and we will do our best to get to you, as every one of you does your best to get to a higher state of consciousness here in the desert of the real. And yes, super chats will get preference, but we do try to get it to everybody when we can. And tonight is a very exciting show. For the first time, we are joined by Truthseekah. Thanks for joining us, and thank you very much. I'm kind of, I don't know much about hip hop, but I read your book, The Spirit Realm, and it was really a good read. I read it in like one sitting at 4 hours. I just couldn't put it down. It was an excellent book, great research, and great insight into the wider world that most people don't know about. So welcome.
For sure. Thank you for having me. It means the world. Thank you.
Awesome.
Can I just jump
and
in?
With us,
Can I just jump in and say real quick that
fine, I won't introduce you. Just go ahead.
If I could just say that I feel like looking at how me and Truthseekah are dressed, I feel like two ladies showed up at the Oscars wearing the same thing. So
oh my God.
One of you has to go home.
I was trying to find one of my other shirts and I couldn't find it. So I was like, well, just go with the traditional black tank.
There you go. Oh, well, I guess you got the youngins at the bottom and then the old farts at the top, the Gen Xers at the top. So, so awesome. But as well, as always, it's always great to see Micah. Micah, thanks for being here with or without your wife beater on.
Yeah, she's actually at her sister's right now. Okay. My brother-in-law is in Singapore on work for 2 weeks, and they've got 3 kids. So it's just my wife's sister. So she went over there to kind of put boots on the ground.
Well, cool. Well, you got a little bit of freedom here, and it's always great to have the Moondog. Vance, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. I got up early today just so that I could get off work early and be ripe and ready for our little session here.
Awesome. Well, no, I've got some to housekeeping here and there, but I think we should probably get on to the topic at hand. And Truthseekah, tell us about yourself, your spiritual journey. I think, again, your book, The Spirit Realm, does discuss it. And like many people, you went through some hard times. As you write, you invited the wrong spirits in. And it seems September 10th of 2000 is when you changed things around. Or tell the audience how you evolved.
Yeah, man, it's a long story, but just to keep it short, brief overview, I started out as a teenager just being curious and all things metaphysical, but started off into the negative side of spirituality with dealing with the occult and witchcraft, Satanism, the Necronomicon, those kind of things, which is just being curious. Got in really deep, met a warlock who was pretty proficient in what he does. I've never met anyone that was as powerful as him as far as being able to make things happen in this world. And so he kind of took me under his wing and taught me, and got in over my head and ended up having encounters with beings that would pop into this reality, seeing large shadow beings and things that look like camels, and got to a place where I would do all these rituals and try to make contact with that realm, and seemed like none of them worked until they all worked at the same time. And for a period of maybe 2 weeks or so, I was pulled in and out of trances at will by some type of beings that would try to communicate with me. They're all speaking at the same time, foreign languages, colors, shapes. I couldn't turn it off and on. I would go pale, couldn't breathe, my heart would race, and I would just be stuck in this realm, seeing all of these things, and I couldn't
Was
interpret
it
anything.
telepathically, or was it actually a voice?
Well, no, I couldn't. Well, I didn't hear it audibly. It was just like, it was like an internal voice, but I could see colors and shapes and faces, and just pulled me into this realm. And I saw all of this stuff, and I couldn't make anything out. You know, it was just a lot of confusion. It was scary, and couldn't breathe when it would happen. Heightened senses of ESP for that period of time, of like, it was all the way at 100. You know, walking through public and knowing people's thoughts, and people looking at me and knowing about their past, and just so much stuff. And me being a teenager, I was 15 when this was happening, and so I was going insane. I was going schizophrenic, losing my mind. I couldn't turn it off and on. And so I'd been a Christian a few years before, and I knew about the peace and the serenity and bliss that was in Christ and in prayer that I had experienced, the baptism of the Holy Spirit, and had a amazing encounter a couple years before. And so at rock bottom, I knew I needed to kind of break ties with that realm. If not, I was going to end up in a mental institution somewhere. And so September 7th of 2000, I rededicated my life back to Christ. Like, my health was going, I was coughing up blood, and it was scary, man. It was scary. So now, you know, I'm on this side, and it was in 2000 that I made that decision, got in church and did that stuff for a while, until, you know, many years later, I just started going deeper into my studies, into my, you know, books that were taken out of the Bible. And I guess my spirituality just began to go deeper in encounters and stuff. And so that opened up to more of a mystical path. And, you know, everything kind of come full circle. And I think that I was kind of reintroduced to some of those things that I was seeking on the dark side, in the newness of light and love and beauty and those things. And so I was able to kind of go back to psychic abilities, but really find all of that in the Bible. So that's what I bring: spirituality, occultism, esoteric mysticism, Christian mysticism, all from a biblical perspective, communicating with elements and beings and dreams and all of the cool stuff that Christianity kind of gave over to the other traditions. So I kind of bring that out.
Yeah, that was my main question, because again, your book is this wonderful balance of Christianity, but also the esoterica, paganism, psychic abilities. It's everything, but it works really well. Do you really think Christianity and the occult can coexist? What do you think? I mean, I think what you're saying is that Christianity used to be more mystic, and it got sort of truncated.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I think so, you know, my message, I think for the majority of people who are in Christendom and who are having similar encounters, right? They feel drawn to plant medicine or ufology or astrotheology, right? Is that they don't have to give up their faith and like abandon it to go and pursue and search these other things, which traditional Christianity will say, hey, it's either this or that, right? And so you can't really have your cake and eat it too, which, you know, early Christendom, the Christian mystics were like, for sure, there was so many, these people were levitating, having out-of-body experiences. They were stargazers. Like, you know, this was the mystical tradition. I think that early Christendom, or the Christian mystics, you know, had a staple in a lot of the stuff that they gave up. So.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah, you said astrotheology. So you're fine with astrotheology as Micah likes to, as
For
his
sure.
research shows. There's not a conflict of interest there.
I'll say this: the only conflict of interest that I have with Micah or any of my friends who have a deep revelation of the scriptures, of like this one thing that is like super revealed to them, and it's what I have against the Christians. It's what I have against Micah's revelation. I have to lump him in with my friends who have the revelation of biblical anatomy and how the Bible is about your body, and they can break it down from Genesis to Revelation, how the Bible is talking about your body. Other people about spiritual warfare and beings and entities that exist, that the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. I've got other friends who have an amazing revelation, and they can break down the scriptures as far as psychology and breaking it down. I mean, look at what Jordan Peterson's doing right now, right? Of how they can break it down on the mental plane. So anytime, the only problem I have with anything what Micah would do or any of those people would do, or even Christian people who take it literal, is when they say that the Bible is only this.
Right.
And when it's the Bible is only astrology, it's like, that's kind of like the Christians saying the Bible is only literal. The beautiful thing about it is it's all of those things and more. So that's why, like, man, this conversation just opens up so big, man.
I've evolved my thoughts since not just we spoke, but like on our latest show when me and you did a couple months back. But I've evolved. I know 100% the Bible is metaphorical, it's astrological, it's an allegory, it's the body. I
almanac, like you said.
It's alchemical. Yeah, it's the tarot. It's 100 different things. Absolutely. I just focus on astrotheology, and I think that what I'm doing is I'm going through the Bible. I have a large print Bible now. Is I'm going through it, and I'm literally going through every book, and I'm just finding the astrotheological connections. My only question to you guys would be this. We know that I've got the astrotheology angle covered, right? My only question to you is this, is that why is it this one specific book that's so powerful, especially when you consider that it draws a lot from the Egyptians and the Sumerians as well. It's not even original, most of the stuff. Cain and Abel goes back to Seth, the Ten Commandments, the Book of the Dead, chapter 125. Why does the Bible work so well if it's just a confluence of previous books?
Well, I can say it's because it's centuries, perhaps thousands of years of research, experiment, borrowing, taking, learning it. As Robert Price said, it's the best history of consciousness we have. No, well, maybe the Vedas, but we're in the West. It might be the best history of consciousness, the evolution of man from the collective to the individual, the struggle, understanding God, the nature of evil, the nature of empire. So it's the best record we have. So that's why it's so insightful and chock full of, mystic and I don't know about historical, but mystic goodies. What do you think, Truthseekah?
Yeah, so I think that, for my spiritual path is to really look at all traditions and pull the good stuff from it. Like even Christianity, like let me keep the good stuff and y'all keep the BS, divisive, like negative. Y'all keep that. I don't want that, right? And so I'll look at all traditions and kind of pick what is good from it and apply it to my life. And so I think that the Bible essentially is something very similar of like the best parts of all of these traditions in a compilation, like a compilation book of all of the stuff that makes sense. Obviously, there's books that were taken out that were maybe extra, or like maybe I would say like a side quest that kind of deviated a little bit too much from the main path. They're still like legit. There's still so much wisdom in all of those books that didn't make the final cut. But like to tell this bigger picture of the allegories, I think that, you mentioned, the Vedas, and then you have the Upanishads and all of that stuff. The cool thing is like when someone becomes a student of the scriptures and they become awakened, and with the Bible, they filled with the Holy Spirit or awaken to consciousness, they become awake, is you have to eventually, you'll start deviating into some of these other books as a researcher, whether it's the Apocrypha. I started there for sure, but that kind of leads into all the other traditions, and you find out that there's these similarities within them, and you kind of got to deviate, because the Bible is like an overview of all of these traditions, and to really specialize on any of this stuff, you kind of got to deviate a little bit and go study, but only study, I'd say, to bring it back and to see how it fits and get that deeper revelation, to be able to break it down to the masses, and for those who are initiated into the deep mysteries like this conversation tonight.
Awesome and well said. And your view is basically, and as you start your book, is the universe is full of spirits, but there is a pecking order, but everything is really part of God's plan. You, as you even say, you deviate from the ancient Gnostics who said the demiurge is this demented God and we're trapped with the archons. You say, no, everything is really part of God, the good, the evil, everything.
Yeah, I think that everything is, and everything serves its purpose. Now, those names and stuff and the roles and all of that, that's up for debate. I don't think that those entities call themselves that. Angels, demons, archons, or anything. Those are names that we give them, but they play a role in the greater scheme of things, to work out the greater good for the human soul. To buffet you, like, we need consequence. Like when we touch the fire, we need something to burn us and say it's hot, so that we learn not to do it. So I think that the angels and the demons all serve a greater purpose for the greater good. We got to have polarity. You have to have consequences. If you tell lies, if you cheat, if you steal, like, there has to be retribution, so that you learn from your mistakes, I would say. So yeah, I think everything plays a part of the
Would you call it karma?
grander scheme. Karma, in a sense of, I don't know about lifetimes, with karma, but I would say the principle of sowing and reaping. Like, you know what I'm saying? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, right? Does God come down and repay you? No, there are spirits that are attached to certain behaviors. There are spirits that are attached to lying, cheating, and stealing. There's a lot of it that's broken down in the scriptures, where Jesus talks about the magistrates and these lesser gods that judge smaller affairs. And even he gives some parables about be careful when the officers come to get you and bring you before the magistrates and bring you before the judges. And we read a book like 1st and 2nd Kings that talk about the way that this kingdom works and what happens when you go before the judge and roles and stuff. And we read it like it's a literal court system, but that's talking about this spiritual court system that goes on within the consciousness, that goes on even within the heavens, in the stars. It's playing out. So every day, every month, every year, this court system is going on. And with the court analogy, like, there's, the Holy Spirit is the advocate. God is the commander in chief, and he's watching over this kingdom. And when we're talking about ascension and consciousness, man, everything just kind of ramps up, because, we see about this evolution of Jacob becoming Israel, Jacob becoming a god, becoming an El. Micah became an El. Michael, Michael of God, right? Uri became an El, right? And so there's this, Jesus becomes an El, but it's not to just worship me. It's to, hey, you guys are coming with me. This process of ascension is kick-started again, and I've gone to prepare a place for you to show you.
Well, isn't he called Emmanuel before his birth?
There you go.
It's the name of Jesus.
This reminds me a lot of Isaiah. This reminds me of Isaiah 45:7. It says, I form the light and create darkness, make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. That kind of ties into what you're talking about.
For sure.
Yeah, he definitely quotes it. I see in the chats, I see a cult priestess. How you doing? And
Hey,
she's like, don't get Micah started on karma or something like that. Is that a bone of contention, Micah?
No, we've doing a couple of shows. We really smash off really well when we talk. We connect very well. And she's just a delight. And
Oh yeah,
she is such a sweetheart.
yeah.
We
I
have some
see you've
really
been,
wild conversations.
yeah, and Truthseekah, it's nice that Jordan Maxwell wrote your intro. So I mean, that's
Yeah,
and I know you,
Micah just had
you've been
an update, right?
Yeah, I just spoke to him today on Jordan. He's got a helper there named Mike. And he texted me because I'd left Jordan a voicemail like a week or two ago. He texted me, he goes, "Would you like to talk to Jordan right now?" So I FaceTimed Jordan and I was talking to him. He just had a stroke. He just had a stroke and he's recovering. He was really out of it. He was asking me the same question over and over again. I had to remind him who I was, remind him who you were. He said he feels awful. He just got old. He started going off on tangents. But I reminded him of all the people, that are out there that love him, and how we all wish him the best and everything. That made him smile, but he doesn't look well. I literally just spoke to him like 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
well. Hopefully, good speedy recovery. Yeah, I mean, his legacy is incredible. What he's done, it's been a while, but he's
whatever he's done is I believe is gonna continue to live on through all of us, really.
Oh yeah, indeed.
I can tell you for sure that I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am right now without him.
No, me neither.
Like, no way. The first video I ever saw that got me into this was he was giving a lecture and he was talking about how everything goes back to the planet Saturn. It was one of those lectures, and then I remember at one point he said, "Truth, you might help me with it. I don't know if it was Luke or John or Mark. I don't remember which gospel. 22:10, where the disciples are asking, when he leaves, where they can go have Passover, and he says, "Go into town and see a man with a water pitcher."
That was in Mark. I read that today. Yeah,
it was in Mark, and follow him to his house.
It's in a couple of them. Yeah,
and that was the first one that really made sense. He's like, "That's glorious." And without going into it deeper, the astrological houses, they're called houses or mansions or eons or signs. There's many words for it. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And then I just started going down the rabbit hole, and then I studied them for like 8 months in a row. I would just watch 5 hours a day and I would just study it. And then I eventually was able to apply my own spin on it, my own work to it. But I wouldn't be, I don't know what I'd be doing if it wasn't for him. I honestly don't know what I'd be doing.
Most people wouldn't. He's at the level of somebody like Manly P. Hall or Joseph Campbell, somebody who cataloged and also synthesized all this ancient information and really
he basically
made sense.
He birthed all of us is what he did.
Yeah. So, well, definitely hope he's definitely hope for the better. Yeah, and Micah, you've been on Twitter having to defend yourself for liking him.
Did you see that? They say that you're starting to make it when you get haters.
Oh, that's every day for me, bro. That's just you just mentioned Manly P. Hall. Like I dedicated my first couple of albums to his work, and those names kind.
You know what it is too, Miguel and Truth. I'm actually a Freemason, and I came out publicly on that. I'm a third grade. I came out publicly on that, and people hate on me because they look at my bio and they see that my father and my grandfather both were CBS producers and editors at CBS News in Manhattan. And they're like, look at this Mason with the legacy media background. Of course, he's trying to infiltrate us.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm like, wow. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. It's part of it. You're gonna
guilty by association.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the worst logical fallacies.
I don't really get attacked by Christians, believe it or not. I have a lot of Christian followers, Truth, believe it or not. Christian, like Bible literally. And they tell me that my revelation to them, my particular work, because again, I didn't invent astrotheology. I didn't. I'm just putting a new spin on it. Or a new spin, finding old patterns, because not only is it in the Bible, but it's in like the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Code of Hammurabi, the Quran. I've read all those. I've broken them down. It's like the heartbeat between everything.
Man, listen. I read the scripture the other day in Gilgamesh. Narrow is the gate and straight is the way that leads to whatever planet. I was like, oh my God, like Jesus totally said that, you know.
Yeah. It's
It's
true.
all part
It's
of
true.
one great cosmic story. It's
Yeah, and
it's
but see,
eternal.
that's what makes it more potent, though. Like for most Christians, it's like, oh, because honestly, when we found out about Jordan Maxwell and the zeitgeist, that like shook a lot of us Christians who were like Bereans and really study. And it's like, oh man, what if this was borrowed from other traditions? And it scares a lot of Christians at first. And it's like, what do you do if everything you thought you knew was a lie? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's scary at first, but then eventually you get to the point that's like, wow, listen, like if this is truth, it has to be universal. It has to, like if the Bible and all of these stories were destroyed and humanity and civilization was to start over, these stories would still come forth because, Micah, they're written in the stars.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd have a new civilization that looks at the stars and they make do with what it was. They would see that. They'd see the war in the heavens. They'd give them all names like Zeus or this or that. It would be the same story. It's called the greatest story ever told, the story of Jesus, because it's basically the only story that's ever told.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's basically the only story that's ever been told. And I know that sounds crazy, but you can break it down. All the major historical, throughout civilizations, holy texts can all be broken down this way. You know, it's amazing. And I've had Christians reach out to me and tell me that my work has strengthened their faith. And who am I to take that away from them?
Yeah.
You know, you would think that I get a lot of pushback from Christians. You would think that, but I don't. It's only a handful.
But they're loud.
Yeah. They're always loud. The small, angry Karen minority, they're always loud. And what you guys are saying, I remember reading St. Augustine saying Christianity has existed from the beginning of time. And I'm like, what is it? What did he smoking crack? And Augustine knew about the myths, just as C.S. Lewis said, Christianity is just the myth come alive. The sun.
So St. Augustine, it's interesting. St. Augustine, okay. The zodiac has slightly changed over time. It only really changed. It's been pretty much the 12 signs, except 2 changes, and that was during the Egyptian time. The Sphinx was the lion instead of Leo, and the crab for Cancer was the beetle, the scarab. Okay, so that's why St. Augustine actually called Jesus the good beetle, because he knew that the sun in Cancer meant that. He knew that the sun, when it was in Aquarius, he was known as the son of man. He's in Pisces, he's the fisherman of men, etc., etc. So St. Augustine definitely knew that.
So it wasn't just he's the new John Lennon. He was being right.
Have you guys gotten into Thomas Aquinas?
I used to. I mean, I went to a Catholic university, so I read his stuff, and he's amazing thinker. Yeah.
Right.
But it's been a while. Also, your book too, Truthseekah, deals with the idea, which is very popular, which is right behind Vance, and that is of UFOs. But before I ask you, Micah, what is your stance on extraterrestrials?
Well, I'll start by saying that I've lost Christian friends because of my work. My oldest friend, I've lost my oldest friend for 30 years. He just became so rigid in literal Christianity that I couldn't even talk to him anymore, and we just stopped talking. I know that in Christianity they believe that UFOs and aliens are demons. I'm pretty truth. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. Over 98%, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, they believe it's demons. Personally, I don't know if they're interdimensional. I don't know. I do think there is something keeping us from eliminating ourselves. I do think something is doing that. Like whether it's entities and energies that are shutting down nuclear reactors or things like that. Yeah. Because if you read the story, you know that during World War II, we dropped a nuclear bomb, fell out of a plane, and landed in North Carolina. And by all means, in attention, it should have blown up. And it should have taken out half of the eastern seaboard. But it didn't. And they found it. And that becomes the basis of The Sum of All Fears by what's his name?
Tom Clancy?
Tom Clancy, yeah. Where they talk about a nuclear weapon that was found in the desert. That's basically where I'm pretty sure he ripped that story from. But yeah, no, I think there are things that are protecting us from eliminating ourselves. But I also know that humanity is cyclical. We go through 12,000 to 14,000 years periods of times where we grow, we ascend, our consciousness expands. We're in the age of Aquarius now, which means we're going to have a shoot up of that. You know, I think the elites know that, and that's why they're panicking, because more people are waking up. We have the internet to trade information. That's why they're trying to poison it. They're trying to poison us quicker. But then we know that what happens is that there's like a cataclysmic event. We know that Yellowstone is way overdue for exploding. And if it does that, that's going to take out the U.S. You know, it's way overdue. And they've traced the patterns of explosions for 10,000 years. That has exploded 10,000 years, 17,000 years, 24,000 years, and we're due again. And so I know that there's not like hundreds of thousands of years of peace on Earth. I know that we kind of build ourselves up and then we get shot back into the Dark Ages. Not like the Dark Ages for Christianity, but the Dark Ages. Incidentally, the Dark Ages was presided over by a pope in the Catholic Church who hated cats. Hated cats. Now, if you've ever read the Bible, you'll find something interesting. There's not one single mention of a cat. Not one in the Bible. I don't know if you knew that. But he hated the cats, so he ordered them all to be killed. And what that ended up doing was driving up the rat population and spread the plague. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was a direct consequence to that. So, yeah, so there's a lot that ties into it, but your original question was about UFOs.
Yeah, you're working for them. You're trying to distract us.
Change the subject.
CIA plans.
I don't know. I think that even if we had concrete evidence that people would still find a way to dismiss it. You know, short of them showing up like Independence Day, I don't imagine it happening.
No.
Well, I don't think they want to be directly interacted with. It's pretty clear, because with all the power that is implied with their mobility and technology, they could be landing on people's lawns, the White House lawns, whatever, but it doesn't happen. They're very elusive. You got to believe that it's deliberate on their part.
Well, you know, the interesting thing, too, is if you're talking about, you know, everything vibrates at a certain frequency, right? Everything vibrates at a certain frequency in our dimension. So there's literally no reason why something can't land on my lawn, shift its vibration slightly, and then it's gone. And then it's physically here, but it's not. Yeah. Well, and I think that happens all the time, Truth. I think that's what happens with your experiences with people coming in and out of your dimensions. I think they're just shifting vibration.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then you got to shift yours to get on theirs. So which is Ascension. You shift your vibration to get on their frequency to be able to see them. You know, you mentioned cats. Cats see different dimensions. Dogs see different dimensions. We can
Children do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And
or they're poisoned with fluoride.
And then you talk about, like, you know, us you know, not being able to see them because they don't want to be seen. Going back to what the brother said, like, then you have the story in the Bible of Elisha with the young man, which is a story that I love, as they were on a run from an army and they were being chased. They went to sleep in the desert and woke up, and the army was all around them. And the young man's freaking out. Hey, we're going to die. They got us. It's over. No, it's okay. It's going to be okay. What do you mean it's going to be okay? We're done. We're had. He said, no, listen, there are more that are for us than those that are against. What do you mean? 2 against an army? He said, hold on. He put his hands on his face and he prayed for him. Father, I ask you to give him sight. Let him see those that are for us. His eyes, the eyes of his understanding was open, and he saw chariots of fire all within the mountains and within the sky and the clouds all around him. So these beings were cloaked, hidden, and you can only see them when your eyes were open to that realm of understanding that they're there. And so it's like, oh, wow. Yeah, this army isn't nothing, because we have a great cloud of witnesses, these chariots of fire, cloud by day, fire by night, that are watching over us. So
when he says open his eye, you think he's talking about the third eye?
Open his third eye, or spiritual eyes, which is same thing, right, for sure. Yeah. to pray to be able to see that, that dimension, that vibration. So, my understanding now, which, has totally, I don't want to say it's changed, just gotten a lot deeper because of who and what those angels are, right? My perspective on ufology and my encounters have been definitely angelic, of something beautiful, blissful. They're watching over us. They're going to make sure that everything goes as planned. And if you stare at the sky long enough and ask, they'll say hello. I mean, that's just my story. I just started seeing fleets of what we'll call UFOs, but essentially lights, fire in the sky, these fiery chariots of flames, or the seraphim, which are the fiery serpents that carry. Serpent or nakash represents God's, it represents wisdom. And so the seraphims are these beings that carry God's knowledge and God's wisdom throughout the cosmos. And so you can see them. They travel back and forth from heaven to earth. Like, that's all throughout the scriptures. And so my understanding has changed as more of not like just angels, right? But these are, you have angels. The word angel just means messengers. We got to get that straight. So when we're talking about a demon, demons carry messages as well. So demons are messengers. The messengers are, hey, you keep lying, I'm going to come visit you. You keep cheating, you keep stealing, we're going to come see you. We have legal right to come see you from the judges and from the magistrates, right? Anyway, Ascension. I had this huge revelation. It was really a week-long mystical encounter 3 months ago that I'm still unfolding, but it was about the Bible being a book of ascension. And there was astrotheology. Micah, I text you when all of this was happening. Mm-hmm. Like, there was so much that was going on, but being watched over by the people who have attained their light body. From the Hebraic perspective, they've brought light to their body and they've ascended. We see that Elijah ascended, didn't taste death, and actually took his body with him. And so that these are the great cloud of witnesses that are watching over humanity and rooting for us to take our place back amongst the stars. So anyone who's really deep in ufology, I feel like I've heard Jordan Maxwell talk about this, but that Tessarian for sure, that mankind is banned from the heavens because we're evil, we're wicked. If a craft comes down, the reason we don't see them as much is because our military will try to shoot them out of the sky, and we've done it. There's footage of us shooting plasma beams and all of that. So this process of ascension is moving from a beast, the beast nature, the animal, to becoming an L. Every single one of us, through this process of choosing right, being a good person, overcoming that selfish desires, hatred. It's Esau who came out of the womb. You have Esau and Jacob who come out of the womb together, twins essentially. One is hairy, representing an animalistic nature. The other one is a man of contemplation, is a man of choice, a man of thought. Esau represents, hey, if I'm hungry, you're eating a chicken bone, I'm going to take it from you, and I'll kill you if you get in my way. Esau represents instant gratification. Jacob represents delayed gratification, that you will get your inheritance if you wait. The kingdom will be yours. Esau says, no, I don't want to wait. I want it now. So I'll trade you my portion, my inheritance, for the rest of your soup. This means nothing. I want it now. Okay, sure, I'll take your birthright. So he gives him his birthright, his half of the kingdom, because he wanted instant gratification, that animalistic nature that is in all of us. Mm-hmm. We talk about the Anunnaki and mankind being tampered with, and there's two natures. Jordan Maxwell totally speaks about this, but there are two natures within you. It is the beast nature, but it's also the potential to be an angel, to choose good. Everybody is created equal, neutral. Even Jesus, when they say, good shepherd, tell us, good shepherd, good teacher. He said, hold on, wait. Jesus even rebuked them. No, nobody is good. Not even me. There is one good, and that is God. The reason you call me good is because I'm choosing. We all have the ability to choose good or to choose evil. And so that is the ladder. Jacob's ladder is the process of ascension.
Mm-hmm.
There's all of these hidden allegories within the scriptures. There was the one that I first heard that really blew my mind was the names of Adam's 10 sons up to, I think it's either Enoch or Methuselah. But if you break down the translations of their names, you get the story of Christ. You get the story of God looking at humanity and sending a son to come down there to win the brokenhearted and to restore humanity, to take their habitation back into the heavens. Literally, a son comes down. So as I'm breaking that down, and I know that's there, so I'm starting to study Jacob and Esau, and Jacob in the ladder of ascension. Jacob's ladder, seen angels ascending and descending. And so Jacob, when you break down his 12 sons, Jacob became Israel, which means to rule and reign as God, to speak as God. You break down his 12 sons and their names. If Strong's Concordance, you go to anything, it'll tell you exactly what each one means. And each name, as they are birthed, says that there will be a son. You will see him. You will hear him. His words will make you glad. You will wrestle in your heart and you will choose good. And as you choose good, I will make your habitation back in the lofty places amongst the heaven, that you will sit as a son of my right hand. We're talking about the Bible has no allegories. Their names play out Jacob's ladder. Jacob wrestled with God and he didn't let go until he was blessed. If we wrestle with right and wrong and we grieve over it, we repent, we turn from our sin, the things that are killing us, like we're taking that step up in the ladder of ascension, that now, because I've dealt with that animalistic sexual desire and nature, it doesn't rule and reign over me no more. I've dealt with my diet, man. I just dropped 40 pounds, man. I've dealt with my instant gratification. You know what I'm saying? It's a fight. It's a fight. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Can I
go
just
ahead,
jump in real quick?
go
Let me
ahead,
just jump in real quick. That was beautiful. Let me just jump in real quick.
Yeah,
We're talking about Esau and Jacob, right? And instant gratification versus not. I quit drinking alcohol 4 months ago. My life has improved tremendously. And I'm not saying that to like get praise or anything. I just want to share something with you.
No, you should, man.
What alcohol does is it's a depressant. Not only is it a depressant, it lowers your vibration. Not only does it lower your vibration, but it brings you to your reptilian midbrain, okay? Which is basically your animalistic. Because what happens when you're drunk? Food, sex, sleep, basic urges. It brings you down to it, okay? That's all you could think about when you're drunk. It's right? Am I right? It's one of the three things. So that's basically what it is. It brings you down to that. Yeah. And then, to ascend is to, Santos Bonacci talks about it too. You gotta quit alcohol. If you want to ascend, you can't struggle with that. And then that'll help you lose weight. And then that'll help you do a bunch of stuff too. So I don't even mess with it anymore.
Yeah.
Good deal. Yeah, we should probably bring in Vance. Do you have a question, or does the audience have a question?
Yeah, we got Davy Jones Locker want to know, does either Micah or Truthseekah think Jesus has children or had children?
I'm going to leave that to Truth.
No, I honestly don't really deal with much of the Gnostic text. So no, I don't really go on that. I don't think he had physical children.
Do you think he was crucified, as the scriptures say, or
for sure, yeah. If not, it just it just kind of undoes everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like he whisked away to go start a family somewhere and hide and finish off his life as a hermit, seeking God with a small family or something. No, not at all.
That's the part that always confuses me. That's the part that always confuses me with Christianity, especially the Christians who hate Jews, who blame that the Jews killed them, or they'll point to Revelation 3:9, right? And they'll say that the God of Satan, right? And they'll talk about that, and they'll talk about the Jews that killed Jesus. The story of Jesus, he was supposed to die for everything. Okay, so he just fulfilled that. Like, why would you be mad at who killed him? Everybody killed him.
Yeah.
You understand? People who were born, you killed him. That's the idea behind Christianity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Besides, nobody got killed without the Romans saying yay or nay. They were the ones in control. So the Sanhedrin, and they were just puppets. So.
What do you make of the fact, metaphorically speaking, Truth, that he was crucified between two thieves?
Yeah. I mean, that was so you have obviously the right and the left hemisphere. You have also Jacob and Esau. You have the one that mocked him and ridiculed him, and the other one that showed what? Remorse. Man, look, listen, man, I'm sorry. Like, I know that you are the Messiah. I know that, please forgive me. Listen, today you'll be with me in paradise. The other one mocked him until the death. So yeah, you definitely have the skull, which is Golgotha, which is the place of the skull. The interesting thing, like if you look up where Jesus started and he goes up the Jordan River and where he ends up and is crucified, like he starts off at the bottom, and Jordan River and the mountain range there look like the spinal column. And and if you track his journey, he starts at the bottom, he goes all the way up the river, the Christos oil fluid, you know, that is reaches the pineal gland to reach ascension, whether it's physically in your anatomy, spiritually, metaphorically, and I'm sure you can break that down astrologically.
Well, that's what they say that Jacob's ladder is too. Is the Christ? Christ was not his name. Let's get that through. Christ was not his name. Christ is a title, and Christ translates to the word oil. Okay, so you're talking about Jacob's ladder, which is the 33 vertebrae. He climbs up that, it rests in your pineal, and that's where your resurrection is.
Yeah, it's the beautiful thing that we gotta. I feel like we always gotta bring it home is like it's all of those things. I want to get I'm planning to reach out to you, but I've got some of my friends who are experts on these certain paths, and I want us to break down scriptures together. Let's get the astrological. Let's get the spiritual. Let's get the literal. I want the literal translation as well. What does this literal, literally mean? Because listen, when it comes to ascension and when it comes to really understanding and transforming, the literal interpretation has to be preached for a reason, because it opens your heart. Your heart has to be open to be able to really perceive and understand the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. It's not given to everybody. You can talk to these people till you're blue in the face. They won't get it. And until their heart is open and ready to receive, will they get it? So
that's a major argument.
Preaching.
That's a major argument. That's a major argument that a lot of people make. People who are in the spiritual community who raising their kids Catholic, or at least putting the kids through Catholic school or Hebrew school or whatever. It's you give the kids the foundation before you open their mind to everything else.
True.
But it's it's an endless labyrinth. Like one insight I saw in your book, Truth, was you said that the word for familiar in Greek, I guess we're using the Septuagint, is actually python, which is of course the Greek word for the serpent. I was like, wow, I had no idea. That changes a lot. Or that the word for familiar also means ventriloquist. It changes a lot.
For sure, man. Just because we've been told that it's demonic and it's satanic and it's pagan, if you will. But it's the word divination in the Greek.
Right.
In that instance in the book of Acts, where most Christians, most people say divination is evil because it was being used to channel a fallen spirit or a Greek deity, if you will, which was the spirit of Python, which was the Greek dragon of the underworld. And this lady was this psychic was channeling this spirit to get information. And so the word I don't think the word divination should have never been used there. That's what kind of gave it a bad name, because when you go into the Old Testament, Jacob, not just Laban, Daniel, many people bragged about how great they were at divination, that they could get direct answers from God by casting lots and by clairomancy or the term the luck of the draw. Even the priest had a white stone and a black stone that they would reach into a pouch and ask a yes or no question and pull one out and say, okay, God says no.
Right.
It's like leaving these huge decisions up to the luck of the draw or chance.
Right.
But they believe that divining is the same with tarot cards. It's the same with what do the cards say, and the ability comes down to the person who's able to read or translate those cards as well.
And Miguel, in truth, you guys have to understand something too. Is at the time that the Bible was written in Hebrew and Aramaic, everybody knew at the time that they wrote and spoke in Hebrew, but if they were going to speak or do anything intellectual, they did it in Greek. Okay, so that's a big thing that you have to realize too, is that was the language of that was the elevated esoteric language that they spoke in.
Yeah.
It was the lingua franca, as they call it.
So that's part of unfolding it, like breaking down these words and seeing what they really mean. And like, you get this overview, but it's like when you really break it down, when you really unfold it, you're gonna find some really interesting stuff. You're gonna find spirituality. You're gonna find metaphysics, all within the Bible. Even just the simple term of, we see that when there's this upgrade or this rapture into the heavens, that an angel will come down and blow a trumpet, and the trumpet will sound, and we shall be transformed in the twinkling of an eye. Like there is no trumpet. They've showed us pictures. We watched it in movies of the angel. The word is, you will hear a vibrational frequency. The term for trumpet is vibration. Your vibrational frequency will change. And the word for transform is, there will be a metamorphosis that happens within you. There will be a upgrade in the spirit when your vibrational alignment shifts to the next level. This is not a one-time event. This is something that's continually happening in an individual's life on the path of ascension. The more that you choose right, the more that you wrestle and that you contemplate and that you think about, you're going to get the answers. Ask, seek, knock, repeat. The door will be open for you. It's those who are able to sin, if you will, or who are able to do bad things and they don't feel remorse.
Right.
Sociopaths, like those people exist. They kill somebody, they don't even bat an eye. They can cheat you and lie to you to your face and not even blink. Like these are individuals who have chosen, they've kind of they've gotten good at it.
These are all our politicians right now.
100%. 100%.
Always. And moving back to the aliens, you talk about you've had all kinds of experiences, from the cigar-shaped aliens in the sky. You've just had a lot, but you talk about you yourself were working with an individual called Prophet Yahweh to help you with these interaction with these higher beings. But you saw a green silhouette, Truth, and you say this is the ancient color for the order of Melchizedek. That certainly changes things from the little green men, doesn't it?
Well, the little men are interesting. I'll say that. Little green men, right? Yeah, the little green silhouette that I saw in deep meditation. I will say I wasn't working with Prophet Yahweh. It was a video that I seen early on on the internet of him summoning UFOs and actually in front of the news crew, and orbs were showing up in the sky. When it comes to and I tried it and started getting results. But the order of Melchizedek and the little men is very interesting, even with something that I read today. I was reading in the book of Mark, where I think it was chapter 14, where Jesus is given over to because of Judas betrayed him, and the mob came to get him and to hand him over and to be betrayed. And so right after, when all of this persecution came and things turned up, all of his disciples vanished. They disappeared. They got out of there. But there's 2 verses that are really interesting. Right after that, in the book of Mark, I think it's Mark 14:51. But it says that a certain man wearing white linen. You guys got to understand this. When you read about clothing in the Bible, it's not talking about a t-shirt. Clothing especially when it's a color, it lets you know their vibrational frequency.
It's alchemical, 100%. That's why when you see this in red and blue, wearing red and blue, that's the alchemical wedding. But I'm sorry, go on.
And well, you're right. And then they put purple on him at the end. Mm-hmm. They gave him a purple robe. So red and blue together is purple. But then what's after purple at the very top is white light.
Right.
Anyway, the young man, a certain young man, the word certain kind of means strange, a peculiar, a weird little young man, which means that a little person was following Jesus arrayed in white linen. And that was the only thing that he was wearing. All of his disciples disappeared. And there was one dude, a little man wearing white, following Jesus. And the mob turns and looks at him and they go to grab him too. But he jumps out of his white linen robe or his mantle or his aura, and he runs away naked, and they leave him with the white robe. That's in Mark 14. Mm-hmm. Mark 16, Jesus is crucified. They go to the tomb. The stone is rolled away, and they go in. Some translations tell you that there's an angel in there. The older translations say that there's a young man arrayed in white that scared all of the people. That white is also light. So he's wearing a vestment of light, a robe of light. We're talking about these little men that are wearing white. They're clothed in white or green or purples or reds. Man, the story gets a lot more interesting. There's two scriptures right when he's being handed over that this little man was following him. Like, my mind is like, what is he doing? Was he coming to anoint Christ with his light body? Was he it's just the questions. And then 2 chapters later, that angel or angel is messenger was in the tomb when they rolled the stone away. He's in there waiting to say, hey, Jesus isn't here, guys. He's in the next city over. You guys should go find him. And they were scared to death. It says that they were in awe, or they were in shock, or they were amazed when they saw this little young man, which means a little person. And so, man, these beings, these angelic beings that are watching over humanity, watching over the ascension. The ascension process is an individual process. It's for Micah. It's for me. It's for all of us individually to choose right, to choose love, to overcome sin, to overcome our transgressions, our selfish desires. You know what you're dealing with. But as you do it, and as all of us do it, now it's not one person who is ascended here who's given information. It's all of us who are in that process and have submitted. And now we have a podcast or a talk where everyone is in that process and ascending. And now everyone on my street has submitted to that process. And now my city, the majority of people in my city have submitted to the process. And now they're choosing good. They're choosing beauty. They're choosing what is right. They're asking for forgiveness. They're seeing the error of their ways. And now the majority of the collective gets an upgrade. As you get an upgrade individually, now the collective gets an upgrade. So what we're seeing is a global upgrade of humanity is having an awakening, and we are ascending. But the 1%, which is what we see on the news and which controls the media and all that, it seems like things are getting worse and humanity is at the brink and all. This is what they want you to see. We're ascending, and they're doing whatever they can to try to stop that or discourage it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The idea between the red and the blue and the purple reminds me of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, where she's sitting there pregnant in the temple and she's knitting a purple garment for Jesus when he's born. And Joseph is just sitting there, and he's like, it's at that point where he's like, well, should I marry her, or what is going on, And she's just sitting there knitting like a purple linen. So
well, that's right. That's what they put on Jesus too. And so they put a purple robe on him as he's going to the crucifixion. He's wearing this purple. Purple represents royalty, kingship, the highest vibrational frequency of the rainbow, 7 visible spectrums of the rainbow. Purple is the highest. And then they cast lots, which is divination, and they tear it. They tear it and they divide it amongst themselves. So now this mantle that was on Christ is now divided amongst the people. And so he tells us, like, it's better that I go to the cross. It's better that I die so that what I carry can now be dispersed into the whole world. There's all of these ideas, and I'm having wild encounters right now where I'm getting downloads and waking up in the middle of the night and the Holy Spirit is speaking to me, and I'm writing all of this stuff. And then I meet somebody on my last podcast. We do a talk about Emanuel Swedenborg, somebody from the foundation, and everything this guy's teaching me about Emanuel Swedenborg was everything that I wrote down. And it's the idea that when a seed goes into the earth, or when a seed goes into the earth, it gives itself up and it dies in order that a plant will be able to grow, a tree will be able to grow, and it will produce offspring. So the information that somebody carries, this is the idea of reincarnation, not that specific individual, but it's that what you carried is now birth. The worst thing that you can do is kill a revolutionary, because now his ideas and everything goes out there and it's spread to the people. Now everybody can take that consciousness and walk with it, which was the idea of Christ going to the cross, because I can only be in one place at one time. But when I die, the Comforter will come and sit on everyone, and everyone taps into Christ consciousness, and I'm able to deal and live and ignite that flame inside of everybody's heart in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and then to the ends of the earth, to go out into all of the world. So that's the process of this ascension process, and what Jesus did, and what we do, and what continues to happen when we take that message. And he's still alive. Like, yeah, he's living in us. Jordan Maxwell's message will never die as long as I'm alive, and everybody that I influence, and I continue to say his name, and I continue to teach on the Maseroth and these beautiful things that have been revealed because of his work. There are many people in the Christian realm that are teaching his work too, but they won't say his name. And I'm trying to let them know, listen, this is where you got that from. You have to know. We got to give honor, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's the idea of this information. We're temporary, man. These meat suits and our ideas, but what we believe in and what we stand for and the levels of consciousness that we ascend to is eternal. Everyone gets an upgrade. It's not just for you. It's not just for me. It is for the collective.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And Vince, how's the audience doing, or how are you doing?
Oh, they're just chugging away here. I got a couple other questions. Let's see. I'll take the older one as opposed to the more interesting one to me. Do either of you know about Anaxagoras, either the philosopher or the concept, in regards to how we read or create scripture? That's the question.
No.
Doesn't ring a bell with me.
No.
All right. Well, then here's the other one. This, I'm sure you guys will have an answer for this. Have any of you encountered an angel or a representative of God personally?
You're encountering one now. All of us, really.
Yeah. But you record it. You've had many encounters. Your book is just chock full of them.
Yeah, I feel like I've been blessed, and I guess, and cursed to a degree. Anybody else before I've totally had those encounters and continue to have them. They're amazing. I sought them and I found them.
Do you think you were born a mystic, or did you develop it? Or what advice do you have people? Some people want to have these encounters to expand their consciousness. What advice do you have, or were you have to be born that way, like somebody at Delphi, the Oracle at Delphi, or something like that?
Yeah, I think the mere fact that you want it is your wrestling. The fact that you want it, if you don't let go, like, you can want it after listening to this podcast and then want something else tomorrow. But the fact that you want it and you're going to hold on to it and you're going to think about it and you're going to look for the signs and look for the symbols and look into the stars and say, hey, I heard a podcast that you guys are out there. Where are you? and keep looking. And so the idea is to wrestle. So, okay, they want it. Let's let them see. So there's that idea for anybody. It's there for you. God is not a respecter of persons, right? If you want it, you can create it, you can pursue it. It will show itself to you. But for me, yeah, I mean, I had my encounter started at like 4 years old of having shadow beings in my room and messing with me and laying on top of me. Who and what that is, I don't know, but it definitely marked me to ask the bigger questions in life and research certain topics as I became a teenager. And I think that, I can look back at certain moments, that really shifted my focus and meant something to me, and having these, most of them were something supernatural. And so it definitely, shifted the way that I viewed reality and knew that there was something greater.
Micah, how about you?
No, I can't say that I have. I mean, I talk about all these esoteric things, but I don't know if my eyes are closed or what, but I haven't really. Things come to me in my dreams sometimes. I should say that. I get.
Decalcify your pineal gland with some ayahuasca or something.
I'm very good with
ayahuasca. Works.
Come
for
see me. Hey,
I,
come see me, Micah. Let's hang out. Let's do a retreat.
Sure, yeah,
man.
yeah. He talks a lot about plant substances and all that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We should.
I think
As far as sending you I could send you all my PowerPoints from astrotheology if you want yours.
I just, man, I want to get you on the phone or get you over here and just.
We'll set that up.
To it.
COVID's about to end. They're letting everything go now, right?
Hey, you said it. I'll believe it. I'll agree with you in prayer, for sure. My daughter has COVID right now. At least that's what they said. So yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Omicron?
Probably.
Yeah.
That was our household in Christmas. It was a lot of fun.
Me and my wife just had it. Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
But I'm agreeing with you. It's over. It's gone. Never to return.
It's gone. It's gone. We'll deal with it.
Oh, that'd be so great.
Yeah. Moses had a lot more plagues than that, my friend.
I think a lot of times people are spoken to, but we've been taught not to listen, and we've been taught, oh, it's just this or it's just that.
Your imagination.
Yeah, that's why I have the this thing called the porcelain gods, and people will tell you that when they go to the bathroom or they take a shower or whatever, they get like these ideas from, where do these come from? Authors get things from, and it's like, well, it wasn't me. It's just kind of idea came to me.
For me, writing comes as I'm laying down to go to sleep. That usually happens. I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and it's like a thought will get downloaded into my brain. I'm at the point when I write my books. When I write my books at this point, I have crib notes that I know where the direction it's going to go, but I just channel it at this point. Like, it's like the conversation is there and I'm just transcribing it.
Yeah. So where does that come from, right? That's kind of the other realms. And you can tell them by their fruits, right? If it's beneficial,
That's what
all of the ideas are in the heavens or in the ethers, especially, like I said, going back to the fact when someone dies, they release all of their study, all of their information. Like, the fear is that everything that you've learned and you've studied and everything that you made would die with you and go to the grave and nobody would know, but it gets released into the ethers or into cosmic consciousness or the Akashic record, or maybe from the biblical perspective, the book of life, where everything is written and recorded. And so we get access to that. I mean, just look at the story of Michael Jackson waking up at 3 a.m, calling his producer, frantic, hey, we got to go to the studio right now. We got it at 3 a.m. What do you mean, Michael? No, we got to go to the studio. Why? Why do we need to go to the studio? Because I've just downloaded a song in the spirit while I was dreaming. And if I don't record it, Prince is going to get the song and he'll record it first. So
it's like it's raining down on the
ether.
I mean, how many times do you have a great idea and it comes out? Like, what about, you know what I'm saying? Like different inventions and stuff that you're like, oh, that's a cool idea. And then boom, it comes out. Yeah. Well, like it's privy to everyone.
Like they say that like film, the light bulb, steamships, all these inventions, like 12 different people invented them at the same time.
Yeah,
At the
that's
same
well, so
time,
that's the
at the same
information.
time, Truth, you feel that a lot of people think heaven is a state of mind or a parallel dimension. You actually feel it is a place beyond the stars, behind Orion.
Yeah, I believe that it's all of it. You know, that it is here now. That eternal life is here, right? And so we're tapped in it as well. The King. So whatever it is out there past Orion, right, is also in here past your heart or inside of the portal of your heart. So it's as above, so below, as within, so without. So the kingdom is within you. It is around you. It is above you. It's everywhere. So pretty much everything that we read in the scripture for it to be true, has to be true on all of those levels. It's in your anatomy somewhere. It's in the spirit world somewhere. It's in the physical reality somewhere. It's in your mind somewhere. So all of those scriptures that we read can be broken down on all of those levels. But yeah, as far as having a place that angels or beings are traveling back and forth from, for sure, in space somewhere past Orion and Orion Horsehead Nebula, as far as I'm concerned, from my research, which is why Orion has always been venerated, and new stars and things are being birthed out of that system. But also within you, like inside of your heart, within the portal of your being, which is God's throne. Like God sits on the throne of your heart, which your rib cage is the 24 elders, 12 on each side, that are bowing down to the throne of God, and which is your heart, and they're crying, "Holy, holy, holy," which is going on in the holy place of the Solomon's temple, which was a physical temple that was a mirror system of our body, of our anatomy, which was also a mirror to heaven. And so you have to break it down, and it's so beautiful on all of those levels.
Hey, Miguel, can you pull up something on the web real quick and show it to us?
What do you mean?
Can you pull up Solomon's Temple blueprint?
All right, hold on. Let me open a browser here, because this one I got two screens. It works better. What do you want me to type in?
You can't be sharing the secrets of the Masons on this podcast, brother.
Solomon's Temple blueprint.
Blueprint. Okay. There's some artwork. There's a yellow one here.
Can you show us?
Yeah. Hold on a second.
So I can tell you which one.
Slides. Share screen. Yeah. Okay. All right. This is what I see.
That one right there.
That one right there.
No, hold on. No, scroll down. Scroll. View more images.
More images. All right.
Yeah.
There's plenty of posters to buy.
No. That one right there. The second one down on the left.
This one?
Yeah.
This one or this?
That one. Yeah. No, on the left. That one.
The one on
Open
the left?
That one up. No.
With the yellow in the middle?
That one. Yeah. That one. No, the one that you have there. Maximize that one.
All right. I'm confused.
No. Down and right there. Down and left.
This
left,
one?
Left.
This
all
one?
the way on the left. The top one all the way on the left. That one. Please, that one.
Okay. All right, let's go visit it. Yeah.
Can you maximize that? Can you zoom in?
That's a good question. All right, what are we looking for?
Ready? Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Joachim and Boaz. This is an overhead view. Joachim and Boaz are the testicles. The porch is the base of the penis. The holy place is the shaft of the penis. The holy of holies is the head. The ark where you keep the Torah is where the DNA comes from. The storage chamber that it's actually penetrating is the vagina. Those entrances right there are where they always drop the eggs. This is just a metaphorical representation of the act of sex.
Very cool. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, for them,
doesn't it? I mean, it kind of looks like a rudimentary.
Yeah.
It looks like a rudimentary penis going in a vagina, doesn't it?
Yeah. And Asherah was worshipped in that temple, so of course fertility would have been very important for Solomon.
You got so much that goes into what's called the sacred secretion, which is actually where we get the term in Christianity from, going into the secret place, which is going into it's known as the prayer chamber. It's known where things get birthed at. It's the place that is blackness. And it's also where we get the word matrix from. The matrix is the what? Can somebody say that, just the word that goes with matrix?
Mother.
And the mother, or the womb. The womb.
Yeah.
So the womb of a woman. So in the Bible, you got in King James, you got the term matrix for the womb of a woman. You've got the womb of the earth as a seed. You have to take a seed. The seed goes into the earth. Gestation happens, it breaks, and then something is birthed, and there's a different period of time. So you got seed goes into the matrix of the earth, into the blackness. You have thoughts that go into the matrix of the mind, and you wrestle with it, and then something's birthed. You're going to choose right or left, yes or no. You're eventually going to choose. You're going to wrestle with it, and something's going to happen. So you've got the earth is the matrix. You got the mind as a matrix. You got your heart or your innermost being, which is a matrix. You also have the womb of a woman, literally the sexual act, like you just showed, the seed coming into the womb and literally coming into the womb, and secreting a sacred secretion into there. The seed is displaced into the darkness at a certain period of time. For the woman, it's 9 months. For different seeds, there's different time periods. When we talk about manifestation in the law of attraction, some of it's instant, some of it's next day, some of it's same day, some of it's 9 months, some of it's a year, right? There's different seeds and different things that you put into it, but also the spiritual aspect of literally the Christian idea of going into your secret place, your prayer chamber, which this is my prayer chamber. I go in and Jesus has shut the door, turn the lights off, and whatever happens in there, your Father, which sees what goes on in the darkness, in the secret, will reward you in the open. There will be a manifestation of what took place in this realm of intimacy. A seed, something has to be deposited. So when you go into this place of prayer, when you go into this place of travail and of meditation, something is birthed within you, something spiritual. You're carrying something spiritually out into the world. And he says that what I tell you in the secret place, I want you to speak openly. I want you to share from the rooftop. So that's the place of meditation. That's the place of contemplation, because you mentioned the dream state and you getting ideas and having conversations in the dream and information. The thing about the dream state is there's certain things that your conscious is going to deal with, because the Holy Spirit works off of your conscience, right? It's God dealing with your conscience when you sin, when you lie. Man, Micah, why'd you say that, bro? Why'd you go in there and tell them people that? Why'd you post that? Take it down. And it's up to you to take it down or to leave it up when you fight with that being. But when you lay your head on your pillow, and if you take that to sleep with you, you got to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And so that's why the scripture says to not let the sun go down on your anger. If you bring anger to your pillow, you got to deal with it in the secret place of the dream state. But if you don't deal with it, that seed of anger now is planted in your heart, and now it spreads as a cancer. And now the next day it comes out in your speech through gossip. Man, you know what Truthseekah said on the interview? Like, man, this guy said blah, blah, blah. This guy said he didn't agree with astrotheology. And so now, because you didn't deal with it, you're telling people, and you're, right? So now it's getting out. So the beautiful thing about dealing with it in prayer and contemplation and meditation is we're able to deal with it and now hack the dream state. So we go into prayer, we go into meditation or the womb, and we deal with stuff. And there's a spark that happens when that thing bursts in the spirit world. There's a spark that happens. There's a meditation that I teach off of only what I've seen, which is the matrix, that eventually, if you gaze into the blackness, eventually, for me, a light shows up. There's a spark that happens. And I commune with it. Just like in Genesis, darkness covered the face of the deep, and in the face of the deep, and eventually a light appears. God said, "Let there be light." A light appears. When a seed, when the seed of a man comes into a woman in her womb, and life happens, and that sperm gives life to that egg. There's a spark of life. There's a spark. There's a light. So now there's a let there be light. In all of those places, there's enlightenment. Life comes there. So with that being said, to meditate, to pray, to hack the dream state so that when you go to bed, now you're privy for downloads. Now you're privy for next level stuff, because you're not dealing with the dispute and the anger and the restlessness and the sin and the things. You're supposed to deal with that while the sun is up. When the sun goes down, listen, now it's going, you know where it's going? Before the courts. It's going before the courts of heaven. What happens at 3 a.m? All cultures believe it. It's the witching hour.
Spirits come out. Yeah.
Spirits
Dark
are
night
released.
of the soul. Yeah.
So according to your deeds, Micah didn't deal with that stuff, man. He continued, and then we warned him. We checked his heart and his spirit. We showed him signs on the television. People told him not to. He did it anyway. Okay. We have an officer that's going to come visit him. We'll give him one more chance. Listen, all of this is going on in a 24-hour cycle. This is astrology. And Jesus, but if you do lay it down, if you do get rid of it, Jesus comes, which is the sun that rises every 24 hours. And what happens when the sun? What happens when you win a court case? You get rewards. He says, I come to bring a recompense. I come to bring a reward. So there's rewards that happen too whenever you deal with this stuff and you win a case and you win a trial that's against you. But Micah was lying. He was doing this. He stole from his neighbor. Nobody knew about it. Hey, they knew. They saw it. Okay, we'll send him this. What is he asking for in prayer? Well, he's asking. Okay, well, no, he's got to go through something. We're gonna dispatch some officers, and spiritually, but they go off of the moon. They go off of the sun. And Micah, I learned this from you. Really, the sun is 24 hours. The moon is every 30 days. The stars are every year. The planets are every age. Like, this is these different judgments that come upon us individually, every day, every month, every year, every week also, every year, and every age as a collective, man. And this was like the deep download that God, showed me all of this stuff in the Bible, man. It is wild and insane. It's so beautiful. Just the process of what is called the rendering process. When you put that seed in there, there's a process that has to happen for it to be rendered into your timeline.
Stuff's crazy.
It's wild. It was crazy.
Very cool. Yeah, what a journey. God.
Yeah, man.
I think we just had a movie of Micah being tried. I hope you're innocent, Micah. I hope you can get up on the technicality.
The next book. Micah talked about putting me in the next book, man. Listen, I'm in the jury there. I'm taking up for you.
I am. I'm gonna start writing it soon. I gotta head out, guys. I gotta take off. So,
all right, no problem. But before you go, I'll have it on the show notes. Tell the audience where to find out your books, Micah.
Sure.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm on Twitter at Real Mr. Dank, Facebook and Instagram, Micah Dank. You can reach out to me, follow me there. You follow me, I'll reach out to you. I sell signed copies of my book series. You can get them on Amazon. Don't get them on Amazon. No one likes Amazon. But it's on Amazon. And so just reach out to me.
Awesome. Well, have a good night, Micah. Always good to have you.
Thanks,
See you,
guys.
brother.
Take care. Take care, guys.
Connect soon. Yeah.
All right. And I think we should probably start wrapping it soon. Any questions? Vance, I think am I on mute or are you on mute? One of us is on mute, Vance.
No, I said
Okay,
wrap it up.
Yeah, I know. I get that.
Yeah. I'd say that.
Any questions from the audience for Truth?
That's it. Not a lot of questions tonight, unless I missed some.
Yeah. I guess I wanted to, and I had one more question, if you don't mind. And I love the part where you talk about you were making a house with your daughter in the garden and you summoned fairies. That's what I like about your book and your story is it's very encompassing. Everything is there.
Just say it's all over the place.
Yes, it's all magic in your life. So it's kind of cool.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, so we were stargazing in the backyard, and so when she was little, I we'd go out and stargaze, and I'd say we're looking for angels, and we'd stargaze until we stare at the stars until we saw something moving, and it's kind of like the practice. I still do it, but I think the week before we made a little fairy house and just kind of like dug a hole and put little furniture in there and stuff like that, and said that's a house for the fairies. And week later, really wasn't thinking much of it. Go out to stargaze, and we're looking up, and then right above the treetops, these blue fluorescent little cylinders come out, maybe 3 inches long, come out, and we have lightning bugs all the time, but they were a lot bigger.
Love
and
those.
There were a bunch of them, and they came out of the top of the trees and come down towards us. And I jokingly said, "Look, it's the fairies." Like, I didn't think it was fairies. I thought it was some kind of lightning bugs, right? But just like in a movie, they began to swirl. They come out of the top of the trees around me and my daughter and swirled around us and went back up into the trees where they came from and vanished.
Wow.
And so it's like I immediately ran inside and I told my wife, got on the computer and tried to find, blue lightning bugs and blue bugs or and could find nothing that looked like or resembled anything like it. So, and I jokingly said, it's the fairies, and that was an encounter that we had together. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. And what are your spiritual practices these days?
Just very simple, man. Just prayer and contemplation. Keep thinking about it, wrestling, bringing it, keeping it in front of my mind until I get an answer. And then, so, a lot of the things in prayer to kind of take that out and to embody it and to overcome, my shortcomings and the things that I don't like about myself and the things that I need to change and wrestle with it until I overcome, those character flaws and stuff. And so whether this is ascension or just being a good person, you know what I'm saying? Whichever terminology you want to use, that is it. And I think it shows. I think it is. It doesn't go overlooked by God or Jesus or the beings in the spirit world who operate on those levels.
Awesome. And I'm sure as a musician, you probably go into altered states of mind when you do music or poetry or write.
Yeah, it's just a place of inspiration. It's been so weird over the years because like I want to create from a place of being inspired versus it's time to write a song. That's not good. That's not good.
Because they decide how long it's going to take between. They don't see time the way we do. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, when you're in that flow and it's time, like you can channel it, but I'm in a different place too. Like as far as like a lot of where my stuff came from was like watching hours and hours and hours of documentaries and reading so many books, and this stuff was brand new, and so which was been really cool because I kind of got to a place where it was almost like writer's block. I started repeating myself writing. I'm saying the same words, and I pride myself on bringing something different to the table. And then I start repeating the same stuff, and people love it. I'm like, nope, artistically, there's no way I can't do it. I got to have something new. So that actually, several months ago led me to, go back to that first love of like, okay, where was you when this stuff was brand new? I was watching documentaries, I was reading books. Well, start reading some more. So I kind of picked up some books and started reading some work of Blavatsky and reading terminology that I've never heard before. And it brought me back to this place of learning. And so that was really cool that I got to incorporate a lot of that stuff within my music. And but it's got to come from a place of inspiration,
That indeed it does. And for the audience, if you check out his site, he's got everything: music, books, his podcasts. I mean, multimedia. Where can the audience find out more about you?
Yeah, just go to truthseekah.com, truth, SEEKAH.com. all of my stuff's linked there somewhere. Anywhere that you consume media, I've got podcasts or music or meditations or a book or something there. So just type me in and you'll find something. There's so many different channels that I'm trying to articulate, this expression through. So
yeah, it's a good way to do it today, because you never know. So many people to reach in different levels. They're ready. So awesome. Well, for you guys in the chat room and everybody, really appreciate the questions, cool comments. As always, this show will be right here on YouTube, but it will be on an audio version, will be on all podcast providers at the website. So please enjoy it. Please support alternative artists and podcasters like Truth, me, Micah Dank. Let's make this light up this universe with so much wonder. But Vance, first of all, thanks for keeping us company and keeping everybody in line.
Oh yeah, as always. And Truthseekah, I enjoyed basking in the glow of your words. So we had a lot of good stuff to say.
ditto. You too, brother.
Indeed.
For sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Truthseekah, thank you very much for coming on the show, and we definitely look forward to the next time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. It means the world. Thank you so much.
All right. To everybody else, as always, thanks for being here. Thanks for being yourself, your true self, here in the desert of the real. You are all going to do so much wonders. I just know it. In the meantime, write your own gospel, live your own myth, and everything's going to be all right. Good night, everybody.